welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about new locations, and then at the end of the video I'm going to add a few little enhancements that don't really fit in a whole episode on their own but need to be in nonetheless. So to start off, we're going to start out talking about the A World of Pain mods for both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. If you don't know what these are, they are basically just huge location mods. Like, they just add, like, for example, the New Vegas one adds 114 locations to the Wasteland, and then I think the Fallout 3 one adds something crazy too, like that. But they're filled with loot, new NPCs, new dungeons, pretty much all that stuff. So yeah, those are the big ones we're going to be talking about, and then we have a few other ones that edit some existing locations, some that do a little bug fixing, and some that add some things that probably should have been in the game to begin with. But yeah, we'll start off with A World of Pain for Fallout 3. So as always with the Fallout 3 mods, if you're not going to be downloading them directly, we're going to ask that you go ahead and go download them and install and endorse those. But for the Fallout 3 one, we actually don't have to go to the Nexus to download the files for this. It's not actually a requirement. Just scroll to this page or go to the page on tale2wastelands.com, scroll down here, grab this file, download that manually, and then go back, and we're also going to be grabbing the JIP CCC avatars because we installed that mod as well. So download that. And alrighty, while we wait for those to finish downloading, we're going to head over to the New Vegas A World of Pain page. Scroll over to the Files tab, grab the main file, World of Pain version 5.4, download that with Manager. And then you don't have to do this if you don't want. This just does the same thing for Dead Money, and I'm going to grab that one, so download that with Manager. Grab the compatibility patches, download that with Manager. The optional plugins, download that with Manager. And we actually don't need the weapon mod patches. I'm going to be installing these mods later, and we will talk about compatibility for those later. So we can go ahead and go on to the next mod while those are downloading. This is called A World of Pain Revisions. It's kind of a lot to explain, but if you read through all of these, it tells you what each little plugin will do. So basically, like for example, A World of Pain adds the heroes to Good Springs. So when you're in the very first quest at Good Springs and you're fighting the powder gangers, you kind of feel like these heroes just kind of take care of them for you because they're such a high level. This kind of fixes that to make the main character, which is you, feel like the main character again. So under this one, we're just going to go scroll down to the main files and A World of Pain Revisions MO install, download that with Manager. Go over to the next mod, which is A World of Pain Voices. This is a new one. This mod is relatively new. It doesn't add voices to all of the NPCs in A World of Pain, but it does add it to some, which is good enough for me to download it. So simply go over to the Files tab, download with Manager. We can head over to Mod Organizer. First, let's go to our Downloads tab and pull out those files we downloaded from the Tale2Wastelands site for A World of Pain for Fallout 3. And we have the avatars and the A World of Pain. So open up Mod Organizer, install from archive A World of Pain for Fallout 3. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this to rename it. Manual, drop that down. Drop that down and hit Set Data Directory. You can get rid of the README and the PNG file. You just need the ESM. So okay. And then the avatars, so open that back up and get the avatars file. Name this the same thing. Oops. Manual, set data directory, and merge. So that's it. That's all you got to do for the Fallout 3 version. For the New Vegas version, go ahead and double click the main file. Okay, it didn't ask me to do it manually, but let's open up the file tree, and it looks okay. It's just an ESM file. We don't really need this documentation. We can go ahead and delete that. Then the dead money part, we can just merge this, get rid of the info. Okay, merge. Alrighty, and then for the compatibility patches, double click. This is a faux mod. This is going to sort of detect the mods you have, because it'll leave the ones you don't have grayed out. So we're going to go ahead and check the ones we have. Russell, we have that, so check that for compatibility patch. Sortomatic we also use, so check that for compatibility patch. JIP's companion mod, we have that, so check that. And then we have Fallout character overhaul. We have version 2, so we can check this here. And then we're also using monster mod, so we check that and install. And we're going to merge that with the main mod as well. Remove that from view, and then we have the optional plugins. This is another faux mod, and this is going to come down to personal preference. You can read all these. Low loot generally lowers the availability of ammo, armor, weapons. But armor twice there. And general clutter. Low loot MK2 removes 95% of MK2 weapons from a World of Pain locations. Low loot MK2 weapons and armor removes 95% of MK2 weapons from a World of Pain locations as well as armors. And then low loot merge. This is a merger of all the low loot patches into a single patch and includes low loot general, low loot MK2 weapons, low loot MK2 weapons and armor plus low loot skill books. I don't want to just like go through all these and get a ton of loot, so I'm going to do the low loot merged. That's merged into the one we just did. And then nerfed 4D storage. I'm going to go ahead and check that. I just don't like stuff that is overpowered. Human NPCs. This is similar to the ones above. There's two files and then a merged one. So the low NPCs removes over 90% of new NPCs from the Wasteland and from World of Pain interior locations, either to boost performance or slightly lower difficulty. Low NPCs Wasteland only removes the extra NPCs from the Wasteland, no interiors were altered. And then low loot NPCs, this is a merger of low NPCs patch and all of the low loot patches into a single patch. If you select this option, there's no need to also select the low loot merged or low loot skill book since they are already included in this selection. So I can go ahead and check that, and then we don't need this either because of that, so we can go back up to the top and hit none there. And then robots NPCs removes a large percentage of the robot NPCs with a small boost in humans. Very low robots removes most of the robot NPCs with some replaced by humans. I'm going to do the very low robots here and install, and then merge that as well. Okay, and then revisions. It's another faux mod. So we're using Fallout character overhaul 2. So we're going to check that. Actually, we're going to use the New Vegas redesigned 3 one here for the compatibility. Loot destruction. A collar shown on NPCs affected by loot destruction. With this enabled. Nothing is shown on NPCs affected by loot destruction. I'm going to do the nothing shown one here. High level good guys, this is where we choose you are the hero or you are still the hero. Okay, so I read up on this, and you are the hero simply removes a lot of the high level NPCs, and you are still a hero just scales them down a little bit. I am going to go with you are the hero that completely removes them. I like a challenging game. A ghost town gunfight, this is scaling the fight at the very beginning of the game. The toughest one scales Joe Cobb to 16 and his followers to 12. And then there's one that's just the vanilla, and the scaled one sets him to... Okay, that has the same description, it looks like. This patch instead scales the fight's difficulty based on your current level, but it still makes it a challenge. So this would actually be good for me since we're playing a Tale 2 Wastelands, since it scales to level. So we're going to go ahead and do Scaled Good Springs Fight. Assistance into Good Spring, don't need that. Optional extras, not going to use any of those. So next, and install. Alright, so the revisions is done, and then lastly we have the World of Pain voices. Double click. Looks like it's good to go, so okay. Remove that from view. We can go ahead and check all of these. And if you remember back in the cut content video, we downloaded a patch for A World of Pain for New Vegas Uncut. So we're going to go ahead and enable that now. And then we're going to head back over to the Nexus and I will meet you guys there. So moving on to the next mods, we're going to have 3 little conversion mods from Fallout 3. The first one's going to be auto gates. All this mod does is like the gates at Megaton when you first get there, how they open. There's a couple of other places that have gates I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but this just makes it so that they open and close. So like every time you leave they'll close, and when you come back they'll open again. So it's just a nice little addition, so just download that file. You don't need to get the files from the Nexus, but you should download it, endorse this from the Nexus if you do want to use this. Bus World, same deal. This just adds interiors to a lot of the buses throughout DC. Go ahead and download that file. And then Rivet City Realignment, this little mod just realigns Rivet City, the inside of it, to match the outside layout. So just another nice little fix mod, so download that file as well. Before we move on to the next one, we'll go ahead and install those 3. We can just go ahead and show these in our folder. Go to your downloads folder and drag and drop those out onto the desktop. We'll just go ahead and open up Mod Organizer. The first one we did is Auto Gates, so find that one, find that archive. Just gonna name it Auto Gates Manual, just an ESP. Okay. Then next we have Bus World. So go ahead and install from archive. Bus World. Just going to capitalize it. Manual. Again, just a BSA and ESP. Okay. And then lastly we had the Rivet City Realignment. I'm just going to go copy and paste this really quick into the name. Manual, just a BSA and ESM. Hit OK. Right, and then check those 3 and those are installed. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next mods that we're going to talk about today. The Lucky 38 Suite Reloaded. This, the player room that you get at the Lucky 38 casino, this just kind of overhauls that room. If you've ever installed like a house mod, you know what this is. Go to the Files tab. We're going to grab the ESP version here. Download that with Manager. And that is the only file you're going to need. We'll move on to the next one while that's downloading. Run the Lucky 38. This is just another little enhancement to the 38 casino. This just makes it so that you can basically manage the Lucky 38, make it back into a normal casino so NPCs will come in and gamble and whatnot. Go to the Files tab, and you're going to need just the main file. The other one's just a walkthrough, so don't download that. And we'll wait for those to finish downloading, and then we'll come back for the install. So once those are finished downloading, just double click the first one to install. Manual, just a BSA, ESP, and some meshes, so okay. Remove that from view, and then run the Lucky 38, same thing, double click. Manual, we can get rid of the README, we can get rid of the walkthrough. And looks like, so let me just go back to the page and check. Run the Lucky 38. Okay, that was the other one. So yeah, just leave the ESM and the ESP and then OK. remove that from view. Then we can go over and check both of those. Those are both done. Now moving on, we're going to be talking about the Tale of Two Wastelands Interiors project. If you've ever heard of DC Interiors or New Vegas Interiors project, this is just a cleanup and combination or a merge of both of those. If you come to the page, you can see everything that it merges into one. We're going to have to download a few different things here. The first one, under required downloads, there's just one file. This is a hotfix. We're going to come back, or excuse me, we're going to go ahead and grab that. Just ignore any, this is a trusted site, don't really worry about any warnings it gives you. So go ahead and start that download. And while that's downloading, we can scroll down and look at the section titled Main Files. Now there are two main files. We're going to pick one version. One is just the standard combo version, and the other one's the A World of Pain combo version. We are using A World of Pain, so we're going to grab the A World of Pain version. Download that file. And then there are some add-ons. The Followers Go Home we're not going to use because we have the companion overhaul that we installed in the last episode. Mojave Express boxes, I'm not worried about having more Mojave Express boxes. Mad Bomber's Workshop, another just mod that you can add onto it. Not going to be using that. Tale to Wastelands Interiors Sortomatic. This add-on adds Sortomatic support to the following homes, and then it just lists all the homes. I'm going to go ahead and grab this because this we're using excuse me, we are using the Sortomatic mod, so I'm going to grab that file, download that. Not sure why it goes all the way to the bottom of the page every time. Okay, and then we have patches. So the first patch we're going to grab is the streetlights patch because, like I said in the past episodes, we haven't installed streetlights yet, but we are going to be installing that, so go ahead and download that. Don't know why it scrolls to the bottom every time like that. Devastated City we're not using the Reborn. Run the Lucky 38, we just installed that, so we're going to need this patch. Lucky 38 Reloaded patch, we did just install that, so we're going to download that as well. Alright, and then going through the rest, Amy Wong, we're not using that. Interior Static Object picked up, we're not using that. And we're not using the Searchlight Airport NCR Legion. Down further we see the NMC patches, and we are using that. So I have the large pack. You didn't necessarily install the large. If you followed my guide, you might have installed the medium or the small. Just grab the correlating one. If you have the large, grab the large, medium, medium, and small, small. Like I said, I have the large, so I'm going to grab that one and download that. And now back up under the patches section, there is a patch for realistic wasteland lighting enhancement. If I open this, it takes me to this page. This is the weather mod I'm going to be using. We're not going to be talking about installing this episode, but because I'm going to be using that, I am going to go ahead and grab the patch for that as well. So download that. Alrighty, I'll wait for, looks like we're done actually. So we'll go ahead and install these. So go ahead and go over to your downloads tab and put these away really quick. These are from a minute ago. And pull out all of these files we just downloaded onto your desktop. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a folder, a new folder. I'm going to name it Tale of Two Wastelands. Actually, I'm just going to go find it a little easier just to go and copy and paste Tail to Wastelands Interior Project. Okay, so leave that over here. Okay, then we're going to want to find just the core file. So the first one we downloaded was the core, so here. The second file we downloaded was the combo for A World of Pain. And then we had patches. Okay, those are all patches there. So we go ahead and extract the core file into a folder by the same name. And get rid of that archive. So open up that folder, see what we have here. We can delete the README, and we can go ahead and drag and drop all the files into the folder we created, then get rid of that folder. And then we have the combo edition for A World of Pain. Just open that up, or excuse me, extract that to a folder, the same name, get rid of the archive, open that up, see what we have inside. It's just an ESM, so when you drag and drop this in here, or excuse me, just drag and drop it into the folder, then delete that folder. And then we're going to have all the patches. So in the order, I would suggest just go ahead and, it probably doesn't matter, but I'm going to do it in the order that I downloaded them. At least I think. Like I said, it doesn't really matter, just they're probably all just ESPs. But so yeah, we actually don't even have to extract these little patches. Just open them up, drag and drop the ESP out of the archives into the folder that you made. And then lastly, NMC's compatibility patch. Go ahead and drag and drop everything but the README into the folder here. Get rid of that archive, and then we're going to add the new folder to the archive of the same name. And once that's finished up, we can get rid of the folder, open up Mod Organizer, find that archive, manual, drop down, set data directory. We have all those ESPs there. Just hit OK. Alrighty, and then we can go over to the left pane, check that, and we have that installed. So going back over to our mods, we have the next one we're going to be looking at is Vert's Floor Overhaul. If you don't know what Vert's Floor Overhaul is, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a floor overhaul. It adds some trees to both Wastelands. He had a separate mod for both games, but this is just a combination or a merge of those. There are just some mirrors here to download. Just pick either one. Download. And like I always say, it's best to go over to the original mods pages, download those, even if you're not going to use those individual files, just so you can endorse the original creator of the mods. While we're waiting for that to download, we can go over to the next mod, which kind of goes in the same theme with the floor overhaul. This is Vault 22 floor overhaul. If you don't know, the Vault 22 in Fallout New Vegas has some flora already. It's just not quite up to standards. This mod fixes that. Simply go over to the Files tab, download with Manager. While we wait for that, we'll go ahead and move on. We just have a few little ones left. Gas pumps in New Vegas. I just kind of want to install this because I think it's a nice little addition. Seems lore friendly. I mean, there's gas stations throughout New Vegas. Why wouldn't there be gas pumps? So just go over to the Files tab, download this file, the main file, and then you're also going to grab the update file because general ESP cleaning and fixes. Yep, so just download the optional files or the update file as well. We can go over to the next one. This is the mobile truck base. If you haven't heard of this, it's basically an alternative to fast traveling. I don't like fast traveling in game, at least in an unimmersive way. This aims to kind of fix that. It gives you a van, or a truck I should say, that you're able to fix up, and then inside that truck there are a bunch of storage containers, basically just like a mobile base, and it can travel to major places throughout the both Wastelands. Well, it was originally made for New Vegas, but this mod aims to make it compatible with Tale of Two Wastelands. So what are we going to do to install this for Tale of Two Wastelands? Well, if we scroll down to the bottom, he has some installation instructions here. So all that stuff we've already done, Sortomatic. So install the data file from the original mod and endorse. Okay, so the original mod, we're going to go over to the file trees, or file tab, excuse me, and he said grab the data file, so download with manager. And that is the only file we're going to need from here. Then go back over to the Tale of Two Wastelands version and scroll up to the files tab, and then just download this with manager as well. Alright, so those should mostly be done. We'll go ahead and install those in the order we downloaded them. So go over to your downloads. Let me just get rid of this really quick. Go over to your downloads tab. Bring Wasteland Floor Overhaul out onto your desktop. I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste this so it's ready to go. Open up Mod Organizer. Install from archive. Oh, we didn't need to do it. It's a faux mod. So this is going to bring up a faux mod. This has the different versions, the Dead Edition. So you have a section for Fallout 3 and the different editions, New Vegas, the different editions, and then the LOD patches. So I want to be as lore friendly as possible. So I'm going to be going with the Dead Edition of both. You can read the descriptions on all of these, but I'm just going to be going with the Dead Wasteland on both of those. Then we have the LOD patches. So this is where we kind of run into a little bit of a problem, because we're using NMC Poco Bueno texture over time. Basically there's not much getting around this, but we are just going to go with the NMC. I think that fits best with the mod. And there's also another little file for no AA version for those who don't use any aliasing or multi-sampling. I use both of those, so I'm not going to be using this, but if you aren't using AA or multi-sampling, you might want to grab that file, but like I said, I'm not going to be using that. So then install. And that's done. Also, I forgot to mention, for the Tale of Two Wastelands Interiors project, we installed a patch for the New Vegas Uncut for that a while back, so we can go ahead and enable that now as well. Alright, so now going over to the Downloads tab, we have the Vault 22 Floor Overhaul. So double click that, right click, Set Data Directory, it's just a BSA ESP. Alrighty, and then we have the gas pumps of New Vegas. Double click, manual, set data directory. You know the drill by now. Then the update file, just an ESP, just merge it. It just is replacing the other ESP. Okay, so here's where we get to the mobile truck base. We have the data folder from the first one. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and name this Tale 2 Wastelands, mobile truck base dash Tale 2 Wastelands. And then it already looks good, so okay. And then the file we got from the mobile truck base Tale 2 Wastelands, we're going to manually install that, set that as data directory, and I'm going to name it the same thing I just named the last one, which was just mobile truck base Tale 2 Wastelands. So, okay, and then we're going to merge that, and we can remove that from view. Alright, so we can go ahead and enable all of these, and those are now installed. We'll go ahead and move on to the next mod. The next mods are what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. These don't necessarily have to do with locations, but there are a few little improvements that I think are pretty necessary. So if you haven't heard of Collision Mesh mod, this basically just adds makes it to where, like, if you notice in the default game you can't shoot through a lot of things, so this makes it to where you can. So like at the Good Springs water pump, you can shoot through the pipes. Things can go through the pipes. There's another example, things can actually go through railings now. Just all kinds of something that should have been in the game to begin with, but it's not. So on the Fallout 3 version, we're going to go ahead and download the main file manually. We don't need the update because it's already updated in the main file. But under miscellaneous, we are going to go ahead and grab every miscellaneous file because we're using every mod under the miscellaneous file. So download all those manually. Then go over to the New Vegas page, go to the Files tab, download the main file with Manager. That's the only one you need for the New Vegas one. And we'll go ahead and just grab these last two. These are simple one-click install mods. New Vegas Enhanced Camera just makes the first-person view where you can see your legs. I can't play the game very much without this, so download it, just the main file with Manager. And then lastly, this isn't really anything new, I just forgot to mention this in the Creatures video. For the Monster Mod Wasteland Edition, under the Files tab, I grabbed the lore out 1_1. I didn't realize that that didn't get rid of werewolves, so I am also going to go ahead and grab the no werewolves file because I don't really want werewolves. That's more of like a Skyrim thing, I feel, and I don't really want it in my Tale of Two Wastelands playthrough. So these should be done downloading. So we can go ahead and go over to our Downloads tab, and we can bring all of these out onto the desktop. So what I'm going to do is make a new folder, name it Tale of Two Wastelands Collision Meshes. So the first one, we just go ahead and grab the main file. Let's see where that is. I believe this is the main file here. So we're going to drag and drop the meshes folder into the folder we just made. And then the bus world fix, same thing, drag and drop. Fallout food retexture compilation, same thing with that, drag and drop. The clutter fix, drag and drop. And then we're going to replace the files in the destination with this one. And then the better booze fix, same thing, drag and drop. And that's done. You can get rid of the archives and then add the new folder we just made to an archive. And then you can get rid of the folder, open up Mod Organizer, find that archive we just made. I'm going to name it Collision Meshes dash Tale of Two Wastelands, and then we're going to hit manual there. Drop that down and just set it to where the meshes, the data directory looks good. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to go over to our Downloads tab for the Fallout New Vegas version. Double click that, and we're going to name this the same thing that we just named the last one so that we can merge these. So just do that and then hit merge. And then the last two we had were the enhanced camera. Double click to install that, manual, it's simple, get rid of the readme. Okay. And then the no werewolves that was just going to be added to the monster mod Wasteland Edition. Okay, and merge. Now we can remove all these from view. Go over and check those final mods we just installed. Go over to your plugins file, make sure that's checked, and then like these okay, so it looks like on the Lucky 38 Reloaded mod that we downloaded, it looks like that the patch for the Tale of Two Wasteland Interiors relies on the ESM version. I wasn't aware of that, I apologize. So we're going to go back over to, Run the Lucky 38 Reloaded, and we're simply just going to download with Manager the ESM version. So you can go back over to the mods panel and find the Lucky 38 Suite Reloaded. Just untick that and then remove mod. But while we're waiting for that to download, we can go ahead and uncheck the realistic wasteland lighting ESP and the interior streetlights ESP, because we don't have either of those mods installed yet. Wait for this to finish up. This will change off of red once we get the ESM version installed. So go ahead and double click that. Manual, same exact thing, it's just an ESM instead of an ESP. Remove that from view, and then just drag and drop it back under Run the Lucky 38, which is where we had it before, and install. Now that red exclamation point is no longer there, it just relies on the ESM version instead of the ESP. No big deal. So run loot. While this is running, I'll go ahead and cut it out, cut to the end game. I'm going to show you some of the changes we made and talk about next episode, so I'll meet you guys there. Alrighty guys, so that's going to do it for this episode. We covered a lot of stuff in this episode, a lot of locations, a lot of just other little improvements. This is one of the longer episodes, so if you're still sticking around to this part, I appreciate it. I hope that you found it helpful, and I hope you continue to find these helpful. Just a side note, I wouldn't really recommend playing the game at this state in the guide. I'm not playing it, I am doing play testing, which means I jump in the game for a few hours before I release these episodes and just play the game and make sure I don't get any crashes. Up to this point we are still 100% stable, at least on my end, and obviously I'm following this guide to a T because I'm creating the guide. So yeah, one other side note too is, or I guess along with that side note, the reason I wouldn't recommend playing it from this point is because we have yet to make a merge patch. It's something you have to do through Fallout New Vegas Edit to get everything working together correctly. The game still runs without doing it, but you're going to get some weird values and other just little weird things you wouldn't really notice, but it does make a difference. And some of the stuff we installed today does require a merge patch, so I would recommend waiting to the last episode, because the last episode is the episode we're going to cover merge patches. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up here. The next episode we're going to be talking about weather and lighting. Should be a short episode. As always, I thank you for watching. I hope you've been finding this helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one.
It's mostly to keep trade routes open, but to be honest, I think it's a PR exercise too. Despite our greatest efforts, we still don't have the best reputation around these parts. I had friends here once upon a time. Used to be a good town. Well, it still is, but after Prim fell, many